if I kill you with a ghost gun, you are no less dead than if I had stolen a pistol out of someone's car, left it next to your body, and someone else's name is attached to it. It doesn't matter. We're the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about a dangerous new bill that has passed in Maryland and is waiting on the governor's signature. Stick around for our discussion today. We're going to talk about what this Maryland bill does. We're going to talk about how it could really, pose a lot of pitfalls for Maryland gun owners, and potentially how it can affect gun owners throughout the rest of the country. But before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
Today we're talking about Maryland's Senate Bill 387, which goes to and attempts to regulate untraceable firearms. Now, there's a lot of ambiguity when it comes to this law and how courts are going to interpret it. We want to go over some basics because this does have potentially wide-reaching implications for everyone across the country, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But essentially what they're doing is redefining firearm in a way so that the term firearm includes an unfinished frame or receiver as defined by a forged, cast, printed, extruded, or machine body or similar article that has reached a stage in manufacture where it may be readily completed, assembled, or converted to be used as a frame or receiver of a functioning firearm. Now, this has some problems, and what they're saying by including this in their definition is there's going to be some additional limitations on things that are currently in circulation.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's really two issues at play here. One is that the sale of 80% lowers or anything that's unserialized potentially is going to be prohibited after June 1st, 2022. FFL dealers are going to get their licenses revoked. Plus, there are, potential, terms of imprisonment, fines that we'll get to in just a moment. After March 1st, 2023, just the mere possession of one of these items is going to be illegal and unlawful. So let's say that you bought way before the ban went into effect, you just haven't, either you haven't drilled it out yet or you did drill it out. And, you've just got your homemade firearm. The possession of that firearm becomes hot lava as of March 2023.
Yeah, and I can already hear the comments saying, isn't that an ex post facto law?
Well, I would love to say, let's look at bump stocks and how the Supreme Court has done the right thing on bump stocks and say that was an unlawful taking by the government without compensation, but they haven't. So, following the bump stock rule as it exists right now, and really bump stocks was the first time the government had ever done this to not a consumable, as far as I know, but following the bump stock rule, essentially what we're saying in this country right now is the government can take something you spent money on that was legal when you bought it, is legal now, and make it unlawful, hot lava, gonna get you in prison.
And not only in prison possibly, but not compensate you for it.
Exactly.
And
right.
so, that sounds like a lot like a taking under the Fifth Amendment to me. But what do I know? I'm just an attorney.
We don't sit on the Supreme Court.
No, exactly right. Now, they do have some carve-outs for some antiques that were made prior to 1968 for federal firearms licensed dealers transferring between dealers among themselves, and possession within 30 days after the bill goes into effect. But outside of that, it seems to be an extremely strict and oppressive law. And on top of that, it's pretty ambiguous, wouldn't you say?
It is. And that's the big problem we have is that, so we know what needs to be done. If it doesn't have a serial number on it, the FFL has got to serialize it and then treat it like a firearm before they sell it to you. And they've got to maintain records as though it were a firearm. That part is pretty straightforward and pretty simple. But the issue becomes, what is an unfinished frame or receiver?
Yep.
Because the definition that we read to you earlier is, again, I think, but I don't sit on the Supreme Court, it seems to me like a violation of substance due process. I believe it to be void for vagueness. I don't think that definition is enough to pass constitutional muster, but boy, are the courts proven me wrong over and over again on gun stuff these days on that sort of issue.
And unfortunately, the way that we find out that this law is void for vagueness is someone gets charged, someone gets dragged into courts, they're convicted and appeal that decision to, a higher authority, maybe even the Supreme Court of the United States. And so it places us as responsible and law-abiding gun owners in a terrible position because the way we challenge the law is it destroys your life essentially, which, fundamentally is unfair. And that's why this law is so scary. But I think that brings us to our attorney pro tip of the day of why, it's a Maryland law, but why this could affect everyone across the United States. And what's that, Em?
Well, Richard and I look at a lot of legislation, and there are definite trends across the country, particularly when a state can do something like this, something that's politically charged, something that makes at least half the equation very, very happy, and they can do it in a way that's simple and easy for other states to replicate. And that's what Maryland has done here. This entire bill, and this isn't new material, this is just alteration of Maryland code. I mean, if you look at new material, we've got less than a page of new material added into the Maryland code. But just all said and done, this bill is only a couple pages long. It is easily mirrored by lots of other states. And, as goes Maryland gun rights, I think we're going to see lots and lots of other legislatures who want to pass, anti-ghost gun bills using this exact sort of model. It is really easy to replicate. And of course, no one's going to go back and look, if I kill you with a ghost gun, you are no less dead than if I had stolen a pistol out of someone's car, left it next to your body, and someone else's name is attached to it. It doesn't matter, but no one is going to look at that after the fact and take these laws off the books.
Yep. But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and it really helps. Help us fight that anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And please leave us comments and questions below. We love to talk to you guys, and we love to pull future videos from those questions and comments. So until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.